Don't wanna be an American idiot.
And then it started getting more serious about the political and cultural climate. We were like, this is what we should be doing.
Let's subliminal my America.
The new head of the class, none other than Green Day's American Idiot, which sold more than 250,000 copies in its opening week.
The new songs are incredible because it actually shows the charity, and every song could be a hit.
With some Green Day here. Actually, right now, Dylan is with some Green Day fans, and they've got a couple of questions. Dylan?
Yes, they are rabid Green Day fans. This is the DJ here. I have DJ with me.
I'm DJ Rossstar. Hello.
I saw you last night.
So you last night too. There you go. I've seen you many times. I have a question. American Idiot, one of the best CDs of all time. Are there any songs that you recorded that didn't make it on that follow along the storyline of the characters? Besides Shoplifter, I know that one.
No, Shoplifter never really was part of the story. There was a song that we were contemplating putting on the record. The reason why we didn't, because it didn't really go along with the song, with the story, was it ended up going on Rock Against the Bush, called "Favorite Son."
All right. Thank you for listening to and watching the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast. Today we have very special guest DJ Rossstar. How you doing, Ross?
I'm great, dude. That was like the coolest introduction I've ever had done for me. So I appreciate it.
First time I've ever done one on the pod, so I'm glad it went over well. I'm glad I could make you
No,
happy
it was
with
great. I'll tell you really quickly, and then we can get started here. So the clip of me talking about American Idiot, I didn't even know that existed until like 2 or 3 years ago. When American Idiot was about to be re-released and they started building the hype, they kind of put that clip on YouTube, and somebody notified me. They said, "Hey, you're on this video." So I went to it. I said, "Man, I remember doing that interview 20 years ago, but I had never actually seen it before." So I'm so happy that exists. And the Fuse interview, what he's referring to when he says, I saw you last night, that was when they played on Carson Daly the previous night, and I was there, and I was in the front row, and I gave him a green DJ Rossstar pin that he put on his guitar strap, or actually on his shirt, that you can see on YouTube if you look up Letter Bomb from Last Call with Carson Daly.
I love it. That's awesome.
So that's why he saw me last night. He didn't just like see me creeping in the hotel or something, or outside the hotel.
Yeah.
Wanted to clear that up.
Got to clarify, right? It's all
Yeah.
about the clarification. I mean, then again, though, anybody who's already listening to this, you can look at the art. Like, come on, it's not that. It's a cool thing. Like, he's hung out with them multiple times. So my first question for you, Ross, is what made you decide to start becoming an interviewer of artists?
Okay, great question. So growing up, of course, I've been a fan of Green Day since 1994, and I'm sure we'll get into more details on that soon. I hated watching them do interviews on MTV, reading interviews in Rolling Stone, because they always were being, asked the same questions over and over again. I said, man, I wish I could just interview them myself. How cool would that be? I could ask like any obscure thing I want. I could have my friends who like the band ask questions with me. On top of that, all the other bands I was into back then, like MXPX or Goldfinger, Less Than Jake, all the pop punk stuff, those bands weren't featured on MTV, and there was no Fuse at that point. There really were no places for them to get any kind of interviews done. So I just had a million questions I wanted to ask them also. So I said, you know what? There is no show that exists where they interview these people, these bands. I'm going to start my own. And that's what I did in 2002. And when I was at college in Washington, D.C., I just joined my local college radio station, and I started going to shows like I used to do as a fan, but with a little tape recorder, and just started meeting the bands after the show. And instead of getting a picture like the old days, I'd say, hey, man, I have this college show. Can you give me 5 minutes of your time to do an interview? And I just started from there and then did it for 15 years straight, just interview after interview.
I love it. That's great. And that's how you do it.
I had no family business, no connections, just me and a passion.
You just found a way. And
Yeah.
also, like, before those questions that you asked, because I've seen those interviews, like, throughout the years. I mean, they've popped up. I know it was the first time you've seen it on YouTube, but I've seen that Fuse interview pop up in the last, 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
On and off. It's been hard to, it'll pop up and then it'll go away. But I've seen it around. So the fact that before that, like, especially like when Dookie came out, people were just asking them dumb questions, like treating them like they were dumb teenagers. And there was always something more to the music. And I mean,
Yeah.
American Idiot really proved that. But like, I mean, there was also the video you sent me from the Warning listening party that they performed at, and did multiple requests of yours. And I think that album doesn't get enough credit for being serious too. That's a great album, you know?
Yeah.
Misery is my favorite Green Day song.
I am glad that I wasn't doing interviews when I was that young, when I was 11 years old, because I probably would not have asked anything good. It would have just been me fanboying or talking about really immature things. So I'm glad I didn't really start doing that for real until I was about 21, 22.
You did it at the right time, and you were asking them good questions. That's what I'm
Thank
saying.
you.
Like, I don't think it was around before that. I think people would just like treat them like a joke, you know?
I mean, well, that's how I got attention early on, because like I said, I was one of the only people, if not the only person, doing this live on the internet twice a week. I was doing a live show through iTunes Radio, and I was having bands call in. I was having bands come to the studio. And then once I graduated, I packed up and moved to California. I figured I'd have more access to more bands, and I set it up in my apartment. And twice a week, like I said, I'd go live. I had Katy Perry come over, Chris from the Foo Fighters, Pete from Fall Out Boy, AFI. It just kept going and going. Like, it was incredible to have it happen, and I enjoyed it while it was happening. I know a lot of people don't really realize it till they look back, but while it was happening, I was enjoying like every single week doing the show.
That's really cool, man. And that's such a wide range of artists. Wow. You went from, Katy Perry to AFI. That's crazy.
And I didn't get Green Day to come over my house, but I did get a lot of my other favorite bands. I had Newfound Glory come over, Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake, the Ataris, Goldfinger, MXPX. I like a lot of other bands, and they were all coming to my bedroom to do the show. So it was quite an experience for sure.
My buddy's band toured with Less Than Jake, and my buddy's guitarist. They were also on tour with Creed. Apparently, Scott Stapp was such an asshole that his guitarist punched him in the face.
Oh, the Creed reunion?
No, Creed. You know, like
the reunion.
No,
tour?
like back in like 2001.
Oh, okay, not now.
Yeah,
Now
no,
they're
back
probably
then.
got it together. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has it a little more together. I still don't like them though.
But anyway, back to your first question.
Yes.
So I don't do a show weekly anymore. I retired it in 2017, but every so often I'll do interviews now and again. I did a bunch of them during COVID, which they're all still on my Instagram page. Just Instagram Live. I talked to like the Ataris and Ballyhoo and the Skints and a bunch of other cool bands.
Nice.
And then every so often I'll jump onto YouTube for my friend's page, Bionic Buzz, and I'll do interviews with him. So I still love to do it. I just don't do it every single week, and that's not my only function. It used to be what I thought about every second I was awake when I wasn't actually doing the show.
Right. That's true. I get it. Trust me. I don't know if you know how much work I do with all these things, but I do a lot of it, and it's
I know what goes into it. You're doing more than me. I never made a video intro for myself. That's so cool.
That was the first time I've ever done it. I'm glad it went so well. I might just start doing
Good
it
job.
from now on. And you already answered my second question. So for my third question, how did you end up meeting Green Day for the first time?
What was your second question?
It was going to be, when did you start listening to Green Day, but it just came out naturally.
Well, I can add to it though.
Okay, if you
Why
want.
not?
Yeah, why
Okay.
not? And then we can get to the other one.
No, it's pretty cool. So I was in sixth grade, 1994, and I used to watch MTV religiously every day. It's all I would do. If I liked a song, I would maybe like record it on a tape recorder so I could listen to it on my headphones. One day, I can't say it was the day it premiered because I don't know, but one day I saw Longview, and I didn't like it. I thought they were British, which a lot of people thought back then. That was a big misconception. I just didn't like that kind of singing voice. I thought he was a Brit, and I said, I don't really dig the kind of voice he's projecting here. And the music was just something I had never heard before. I was just listening to like Aerosmith and radio rock. But after the second, third, fourth time seeing the video, I said, you know what? This is actually really cool. And luckily, my mom took me to a local store on Long Island where we lived. And the record store, the guy who owned it, was super knowledgeable about everything. So he said, hey, man, I know you want this Dookie cassette tape, but guess what? They have two other records. They have Kerplunk, and they have 1039. So I said, I want all three records. Not only that, he said, by the way, we have this other band, Pinhead Gunpowder. This album is called Jump Salty, and Billy Joe sings in this band. So I bought everything. I went home. My mind was blown. All my friends at school were going crazy over Dookie, and nobody even believed me that they had other albums because I refused to bring it to school because I didn't want somebody to steal it. So I consider myself super lucky because I became super into it in 1994, but everything that was out at that time, I already had all 3 albums. So that was just like a whole new world for me, being opened up all at once. Plus Pinhead Gunpowder at the same time.
Yeah, they just came back, by the way.
Yes.
As you know. They sent. I ordered a CD and they sent me a poster, a picture, and a sticker. I didn't ask for any of that.
They're cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What?
So that was the answer. And then that year, I went to see them for my first time at the end of the year, December 2nd, 1994. My parents took me. I was a little bummed because we were like in section 300 and Billy Joe just demanded that everybody jump into the pit. And my mom said, no way, you're not getting out of the seat. So I had to watch from the seats. I don't remember much of it, but it's on YouTube, that exact show. So every so often I go back to that and watch and pretend like I remember every detail.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. So my next question is, how did you end up meeting them for the first time?
All right. So the first time I ever met Green Day, it was when they were on the Warped Tour. So it was the year 2000. Before Warning came out, they played the whole summer. So I went to 3 shows, New York, and then 2 in New Jersey. So back then they didn't have as big of a security situation as they did in later years at Warped Tour. So my buddies and I were just walking around intentionally looking for a way backstage. So we finally found an opening with no guard. So we kind of just scurried back there. It was mostly just different tents set up, and then like the different bands would be under their tents. But the tents were labeled, so you knew who they were for. So we were behind the main stage. We were young. We were 18, 17. So we found the Green Day tent, and Timmy Chunks was there. He used to be their road manager for many, many years, up until Idiot. So he was just a really cool guy. He knew that we were just, young fans, that we weren't going to be like, annoying the band or anything. So he let us hang out. We had no access. Security came and he said, no, they're cool. They're with me. And the band came over like, 10, 15 minutes before they had to go on stage. I got to watch Trey warm up back there with his drum set. Got pictures of Billy and Mike and Trey. Now, I don't remember anything I said, of course. I was probably freaked out. I was so young. But that was the first time. The only thing that stunk was a few of my friends who were also back there got to watch on stage that day. But when I tried to go on stage, the security kicked me out and I had to go back and watch from the front of the venue. Or from outside the backstage area. But I got my pictures, and at that point, that meant more to me than watching on stage anyway.
Is that the picture I have on here on the art?
Yeah, that's the one where I'm like 18 and I look like how old I am now. It's like behind you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that was 2000, and then
nice.
a couple months later, I got to go to MTV and see them do the first listen for Warning, where they played a couple songs, and I was right in front of them, no barricade, barely a stage. And at that point, I had never seen them play that close up. So that was also like a crazy experience for an 18-year-old who was like a big fan at that point for 6 years already.
I'll put the link for that in the description, as well as the next thing that happened after that, right?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know what your next question is, but yeah, so that was the first time.
The next thing when they pulled you up on stage and you guys did Blitzkrieg Pop, right?
Oh, yeah. That's not even, I don't even talk about that much. Then I saw them play in Boston that same year. And like you said, they were doing a thing, a couple shows where instead of Knowledge, having someone play guitar, they were having a whole band do Blitzkrieg Bop. Now, I knew about this because they did it 2 days earlier at Roseland in New York, and I watched the live stream. So I just went. I didn't really know that song, honestly, at the time. I just learned the words. I sang them to myself all day. So I was in the front of this show, of course, small show. As soon as he said, who knows, right away, not even get the words out of his mouth. I knew what it was time for. So I got on stage to sing Blitzkrieg Bop, and he called up different people to play with the band. And that's on YouTube also, like you said, a good link to hear me terribly singing Blitzkrieg Bop while Green Day watch in horror.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. My next question for you is, who is this band, The Network, and what do they want? We need an inside scoop from someone who has seen them live.
I don't know what they want, but that was a killer live show. So I saw The Network in 2005. They opened for Green Day at the Wiltern, one of the final American Idiot US shows. That was only announced a couple days before. So I already had tickets to this small show. And then to make it even crazier, they're like, oh, the network's opening. Something that I never thought would happen. Only time they ever played was before I moved to California when they played at the Key Club. I think that was like the end of '03 when the album came out.
Wasn't that the Disease's Punishment?
Yeah. So I didn't move to LA till '04, so I couldn't go. I didn't think they'd ever play again. So I went to see them, obviously, with Green Day. Most of the people in the crowd had no clue what they were watching. I think a few people were even booing because they had no clue what the heck was going on. I remember me and a group of my friends, like 6 of us, just screaming every single word. You could hear us almost as loud as the band because it was like crickets throughout the audience. And it was just so cool. No video exists of that show, of course, no audio.
There's one from '05 that's audio only.
I've heard that one, yeah. So they played, and then Green Day did All of Idiot in the same night. So that was just like an amazing night. And sadly, I truly believe that if COVID never happened, they would have played again to promote Money Money 2020 Part 2. But
yeah, my next question, what did you think of it? Did you like Part 2?
The time has come and gone. It wouldn't make any sense now. I think they should have done it in 2020, but they couldn't because of COVID. I love the record. I think Fentanyl is one of the best songs that he's written in like the last 20 years.
Yes.
It's kind of weird that they used it for the network instead of a Green Day project.
Or the Foxborough Hot Tubs. It's some Foxborough Hot Tubs in there. Like,
and also the last song, The Art of the Deal.
Oh my God, yes.
That was supposed to be on Father of All, and they left it off and put it on the network album instead, and that's also a great song.
That would have made the Father of All better, though.
There's an interview where they were talking about Father of All, and he mentions that song like a couple months before it came out, and then it disappeared and showed up on the network. Yeah.
Yep.
So, really funny. If you go to greenday.fm, they have all the old audio messages that he used to leave on the greenday.com webpage from like 2001 to 2004. He used to call in Billy Joe and leave weird, funny messages. And there's a whole rant. If you go to like 2003 about the network, he's like, F them. I gave them a record deal, and this is what they're trying to do to us. So it's really funny. He's playing along back then.
I do that with Falafel Dragon because of the network. Like, I made it look like the network are fucking with me. I just changed the background,
Heck yeah,
playing along.
I still listen to that record though. I think it's great.
I love both of them. I love the
pool
said to Chris Dugan recently, when Trump got elected again, I was like, I think it's time for the network to come back. Now is more time than ever.
I also love the Pool Party song, by the way, where they redo the lyrics to Kill the DJ.
Oh my God, yes, Jerry Falwell. That guy's dead, but he
blowing how they did that.
Oh my God. So cool. I love it. Yeah. Well, I mean, they can't really do that with Green Day songs. They do, right? Like the lyrics to Know Your Enemy, the lyrics to Father of All, and like Junkies on a High. It's all in there, but it's like hidden in Green Day songs, right? But the network, it's perfect. That's why I do it with Falafel Dragon. Yeah, because it's a disguise. It's fake. It's not Billy Joe. It's a fictional character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I need more. So my next question for you is, what advice for disc jockeys and interviewers of artists looking to break on the scene would you like to give?
It's so weird. I went from being, like I said, one of the only people that I knew of in existence, and I looked a lot, to interview rock artists, to having endless between live shows, podcasting, bands doing their own podcasts, bands interviewing each other on podcasts, bands going live on Facebook and Instagram and just taking questions from fans. I think now if you want to do interviews, only advice I have is I would interview bands that you actually like, or at least ones that are in the, your field of interest or genre of interest. I did interview some random ones at times, like Katy Perry and Julia Lewis I had on my show.
Interesting.
I had Frankie Muniz on there from Malcolm Middle.
My dad met him when he was a conductor on the Amtrak when he was an unaccompanied minor. So
he was cool.
He was 13 when my dad met him on the train. But yeah, he was really polite, he said.
So I had a few weird ones that weren't necessarily rock or pop punk, but I mostly kept it to what I knew. People used to say, hey, maybe your show would be bigger if you had rap artists on and pop artists on, and it just wasn't me. And maybe they were right, and it could have been a bigger thing. But I would just say, similar to starting a band, play like what you like. I would say interview artists that you like, whether they're big or just starting out. Just because I feel like you'll know more about it. You'll have more to talk about. I was able to interview bands sometimes where I only knew one song, but we can bond over Warped Tour or, you know, AP Magazine or Blink-182. We always had something in common, whereas I felt like if I interviewed, you know, someone in jazz or something, I may not have any idea what to bond over, and it might make for an awkward interview.
Yeah, I totally get that, and 100% I agree, because we just interviewed the Paradox, and I really like them. They're freaking awesome. Clearly, Green Day does too.
Yeah. I saw them open up for Jack White here at the Basement East.
You were there at that show, yeah. They talked about that on the thing.
Yeah, Jack White kind of found them first, and then Billy Joe jumped on the bandwagon and found them.
Yeah, and I was at the Atlanta show.
Nice.
And I was the only one that filmed all of Green Day's set except for Bobby Sox and Time of Your Life. But I got permission to use somebody's Time of Your Life. Nobody got Bobby Sox. That's okay.
Oh,
I had to get the fuck out of there before the shit hit the fan, Ross.
You're trying to get
30,000 people.
Trying to get to the parking lot on time.
Fucking
ahead of
right.
time. I get you.
That was my 6th time seeing Green Day, so it's like, all right, I know the end. I've heard Time of Your Life.
It depends on the tour. Like Revolution Radio, they ended with Ordinary World, so you may have wanted to see that.
Which I did.
Trilogy Tour ended with Brutal Love, one of the greatest songs I've ever written.
I know.
So I wasn't leaving until that was over.
Yep. Amen.
Yeah.
That was worth it. That's worth it.
Yeah, man.
How could you miss that, man? How could you miss Brutal Love live? They don't even pull that out anymore. Like,
I'm kind of mad that I only went to like 5 Trilogy shows. I wish I went to like 50, honestly. If I knew they were never going to do it again, you know.
It's just because of how it sold.
You just never know. You just gotta live in the moment. That's one of the reasons why I went to see Long Shot 7 times, because they were playing Trilogy songs, you know.
That's enough. Yep, that was a little revamp there. I'm glad they did it. Also, little shout out to Kevin Preston, who you've interviewed as well, with Prima Donna, his band. So I wanted to give him some love as well.
Oh,
he's a great addition to Green Day's live sound. I'm glad they brought him out.
Yes.
My next question for you is, what are some other bands that you enjoy?
Okay, well, I guess I said that earlier.
You did.
Here's the problem. So I'm 42 now, which sounds weird. It's hard when you get older to like get into newer bands. I used to think that was like just something that like old people said, but now I kind of get it. Like a lot of newer bands are writing songs about what they're going through, but I can't really relate to it anymore. So if I want to hear songs about, you know, girls or songs about, you know, hard times in high school, I'll just go back and listen to my favorite records, MXPX, like I said, or I'm trying to think of other ones I like. Now, I already said Newfound Glory, Sum 41, big fan of them. Blink, Boxcar Racer. I liked some moderner stuff too, but when I say more modern, I mean like 2000s. Like I liked Boys Like Girls a lot. I really liked Bayside. I still like Bayside. They're a really good band.
Nice.
It's just hard, man. Yeah, it's hard to find new ones. I have friends my age who go to every show and they still like all these new bands. I'm like, man, I wish I could. I'm gonna go see the Get Up Kids in a few weeks. I love them. Hot Rod Circuit are opening. I've been listening to them my whole life. So I just keep with the OGs until they all break up. Then I'll really be out of luck with what to go watch. But
I like a lot of underground stuff, like friends of mine's bands, stuff like that.
And that's cool too. Yeah, I wish more people I knew were in bands, but they're all like old and over it now, you know.
I got a recommendation for you. Check out my buddy Willie DiNardo's band, Willie DiNardo and the Corporates. They just put out their first self-titled release. They've been working on it for 6 years. It's great. And it's
free plug.
Heartfelt. Yeah, free plug for Willie. Shout out to Willie. I just think you'll really like it.
No, I will, man. I'm always looking for new stuff, and that's what I'm doing with concerts now. So I'm trying to go to shows that maybe I don't know all the songs, but I heard they're great live. So I went to see the Hives a few years ago. Nice. That was like a fantastic show. We went to see Jack White. My wife's a big fan. I don't really know too many songs, but I thought that was super cool. Yeah, and then I went to see Green Jelly and then Guar. Both were like crazy shows also. So now I'm trying to go see the live shows that people have told me my whole life, like see it at least once. Now I'm trying to like check them all off the list, you know?
Come see the Dreaming Insomniacs live.
Let's go. Nashville, you're close enough. Drive on over. We got 250 venues for you to play at.
Seriously, and like I said, my professor is like big shit in Nashville. I got the connect once I graduate. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah, dude.
Both of them are. Actually, technically, all of them are. So all 3 of the professors at my college, the audio engineering school I go to, they're big shit Nashville guys, audio engineers.
I also love a band called Alistair.
Ooh, yeah.
Band called Mest. I just thought of some more. The
Mest.
guys in Lit, Lit, My Own Worst Enemy.
Yeah, yep. I love
Those
that
are like
song.
personal friends of mine now, and I grew up being a big fan, and they keep making great music. They just put out a great album last year, so I like them a lot
That thing
too.
I shared with you earlier before we started the stream, where I almost died, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
The first song I heard after surviving in the ambulance was Lit. I mean,
Wow.
sorry, my own worst enemy. Lit, My Own Worst Enemy.
They were always really nice
Yeah.
to me when
Yeah.
I was young, and they're still really nice to me. So when I was
That
actively
shit got me through, man. I love that song.
Yeah. When I was actively doing my show as DJ Rossstar twice a week, besides Billy Joe wearing the pin on TV, I had some other experiences. I had DJ Rossstar T-shirts that I had made, and I had Kevin from Lit. He wore it on Last Call while they played, and then
Nice.
my old friend Kobe, who was in the band Say Anything, he wore it on Conan and a couple MTV2 interviews. So the DJ Rossstar shirt made the rounds too, which was really crazy for me to see. Also, for the older people watching, if you ever watched Fuse Daily Download, Steven, who was the host of that show, which you saw the clip of me, I sent him a Rossstar shirt. He wore it on a whole episode once also.
That's so cool.
So
I love that.
really
I
cool.
love that. That's amazing. That's good business, though.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that like a big company on TV would allow something like that, but the fact
No,
that they do-
Fuse was really cool back when they first. They kind of started right after I started, like a year later, so they were really cool. They were nice to me.
Yeah, because they were starting out. Are they around anymore?
No, I think they just play videos. I think that I don't know who owns it, but it's not like there's no live aspect, just kind of just videos.
Yeah, it's been missing something like ever since those days. I really miss those like the Warning listening party. Watching that, I'm like, damn. I wish we get something like this, a whole show within like a listening party.
And back then there was like, it was so easy, early internet. So if you were like big on the computer, if you were big on the internet like I was back then, like I was just on the internet all day as a kid, greenday.com, I think they just posted like, you want to go, email us. And like probably like 50 people wrote them because most people weren't on the internet then,
Yeah, and
like,
they can't do that now because everybody's got a cell phone. So everybody's going to be texting their friend, "Oh, Green Day's playing, come right now," and it's going to be a fucking riot. So
So they played. I remember they played the whole album for us before we went into the taping, and then somebody stole the CDR from that taping and put it on Napster, and the album leaked like a week ahead of time.
American Idiot.
Warning.
Oh, Warning. Oh, you heard
So
the
it
whole.
actually
Okay.
leaked on it actually leaked on Napster a week before it was released.
Yeah,
that was a big issue back then. Yeah.
Why? Oh, that sucks. Because Warning's such a good album, and if that didn't happen, imagine it might have sold better. But maybe we wouldn't have gotten American Idiot then again.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I like to ramble on. I know.
No,
Next
I
question.
do too.
Next question,
This
sir.
is the ADHD pod. I'm completely okay with it.
All my friends are probably like already on board. Bye, Ross. All right, keep
No,
going.
you're doing great, man. You've interviewed over 1,000 artists before. What is your second favorite memory of interviewing an artist, and who was the artist?
Oh my goodness, that's an impossible question. I'm assuming you're alluding to my Mike Dirnt interview, which is the best one, of course.
Yes.
I know we're gonna watch that in a bit.
Yep.
I think my favorite interviews, not maybe because of questions or even how many viewers we had, because I did a live show. All like this, like video. So I'd have 40,000 viewers, sometimes 80,000 viewers. And that was really insane at that time to have that many people watching me. But probably my favorite were the ones where a band would come over that I liked and they would play live for me. So All American Rejects came over and they did 5 songs acoustic. And then
That's so cool.
The Matches, another band that I like, they came and played a couple times. That's the kind of things that I'll never forget. And a lot of those are on YouTube. Bands like
Prima Donna?
Oh, yeah, they've been on a few times. They always perform too.
Yeah.
So things like that. That was just always like, wow, like it's like my own little private concert here in my little apartment. Real Big Fish came and they played a bunch of songs too. Bowling for Soup came over and played. Good times.
Great. They're Green Day fans. I couldn't believe it. Bowling for Soup. There's like a low quality video of it pulled out a cover of Stewart in the Ave.
Yeah, Jared. I've interviewed Jared before. He's really nice, and I'm not surprised. I feel like any band that says they don't like it a little bit is lying at this point.
You know how I said earlier, "Misery" is my favorite Green Day song.
Yeah.
Stewart in the Ave is my second. I mean, then again, where do you think the band name comes from? In the podcast, the Dreaming Insomniacs, right? And obviously.
Not from Dreaming, the cover from Blondie.
No, Insomniac.
I know, I'm kidding because it's the Dreaming. I'm talking about the
that
cover
came
of Blondie
later.
they did like 4 years ago. Dreaming.
Yeah, that came way later than us.
I know.
That might have been a nod. I don't know. There's been a few nods. So
Obviously,
it's pretty
of
cool.
course. Kind of ripping you off.
Oh yeah, no. Listen, dude. 2020, we put out Rock and Shock. What did they do in 2021? Here Comes the Shock with the lady from Boston in the video. Wow, guys.
You might have a lawsuit on your hands.
No, I love it. They're winks and nods. You know what I mean? They really confirmed it on Saviors.
Oh yeah, they know. They're watching you.
Yeah, I know. It's nice. I like.
What else you got? What else you got for me?
The network are watching me. Oh no.
Yeah.
If you were stranded on let me restart that. If you were stranded on an island and could only pick one record to listen to forever, what would it be?
Oh, I'd pick American Idiot. That's still my favorite album. I think it's the best they've ever done.
And there's so much different shit in it that you could listen to it forever and not get sick of it.
Yeah, I just did a podcast a few weeks ago with my friend Tom from Houston Calls and these two other nice guys, and we were just breaking down the album track by track. And the two hosts weren't as big of fans as Tom and I were, and we were just like geeking out. It was supposed to be an hour, and it ended up being like a 3-hour podcast.
Done it.
I think we spent like 45 minutes just talking about Homecoming and how great it is.
Dude, I love that. I'm so happy that like it's not that special if you've gotten to see an American Idiot in full now. Because
it's still special. I saw it in full in 2005 a few times.
That is special. That's special because you saw it when it came out. But I'm just saying like.
Well, no, it's still exciting, dude. I'd rather see that than hits all the time.
But I'm just happy they're playing Homecoming live. And what's her name? Like, okay, I saw them at the Meadows in Connecticut in 2010 with my dad. My sister was working security for them and got us free tickets, and they're really good tickets, right?
Great tour, yeah.
And they played Christy Road and put it on Awesome as Fuck, so that was cool too. But no, my dad heard Christy Road. He was like, "Oh my God, I've never heard this before. This is awesome." No, they played. He played an encore acoustic. What's her name? And I was like,
nice.
I fucking teared. I was like, oh my God, he's playing it.
Yeah, that's like a tearjerker song for sure.
Right. So when they played it at the Atlanta show in full after all of American Idiot, and he's like, just like that, 20 years, and fucking tears again. Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
And I was on mushrooms.
I was lucky. I got to see the first show where they ever played it live at Henry Fonda Theater, September 16th, 2004. So
that's awesome.
5 days before it came out in the U.S., I got to see it in full.
Oh my God!
And then a few times after that.
That's so cool, man. Right on.
Never gets old.
No, that is amazing. And you know what? That was my jumping on point. Think about it. My brother, it was like I want to say around this time, like end of 2004, comes and visits me and my mom. About 2-hour drive. Gives me the CD. He's like, "Get to know this band. You're going to see them in September." And the rest is history.
I mean, look, like people always say, like, "Oh, I'm jealous of your stories," and I say, well, it's the only perk of being older than you is that I got to see all these cool Green Day shows. Only perk probably of being older.
You know, it worked out because you hopped on at the time where they were technically at their financial low. So like working with like smaller artists would help. You did it at a smart time. You used your brain. You just lucked out with age, like you just said. Yeah. You know what I mean? My next question is, it's maybe a little more complex. What is your least favorite Green Day album, and what is your favorite Green Day album?
Well, favorite's American Idiot. I already said that.
Figured, yeah.
The ones I go back to the most often are the Trilogy and American Idiot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I go through phases where like all I listen to will be just Green Day shuffle, but then if I'm like specific, it'll be the Trilogy or the Long Shot record or American Idiot. Pretty much at this point, or now Pin and Gunpowder. Now I'm back listening.
Yeah, Unt is amazing.
Unt all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those weird people that love when Green Day try new things, you know, which is what they do best. You know, Insomniac doesn't sound like Nimrod, which doesn't sound like Warning, which doesn't sound like American Idiot, but they do have a signature sound that some people associate with what they think of as like what Green Day sound like, and to me, you know, Revolution Radio and Saviors, that's kind of for me what I call safe Green Day albums, where they don't take any real risks. They just kind of make like, you know, Green Day sounding songs.
Musically, but not
yeah.
lyrically. Lyrically,
Yeah,
they're
musically.
risky.
So it's
Lyrically,
like-
they're risky as fuck. Musically, yeah, you're right.
So
you're right.
sometimes I'll hear them. I'm like, okay, these songs are great, but they're not What's Her Name? They're not Give Me Novocaine level. But
They're not
I
dirty,
like when
rotten
they take-
bastards.
I like when they take risks. With that said, Father of All, I did not like that. So
I like a couple songs.
Unfortunately, I would put that at the bottom of my list. I don't like the falsetto. I don't like the screaming in Ready, Fire, Aim. I don't like that Stab You in the Heart was taken from the musical These Paper Bullets that he wrote the soundtrack for. He did that for Harvard University. They had a musical called These Paper Bullets, and they had him write the soundtrack. I went to see the show in LA, and Stab You in the Heart was one of the songs in that musical. And if you didn't see the musical, you may not know that, but all the audio was on YouTube. So you can hear
I've seen the musical.
So I thought that was kind of like a cheap thing to like take a song from that and put it on a record that was already so short.
Right.
And then I don't know. I take off your pants. Take your pants. Take the Money and Crawl is pretty cool. I really like the intro of the song, which is the same rhythm as the Art of the Deal. If you didn't notice that by now, so I thought that song was pretty cool. But it's just kind of weird. I don't know. Like it goes by really fast. Like I feel like. I don't know what they were thinking because I'm not them. So
I like Junkies on a High, but it's just Boulevard of Broken Dreams mixed with the Linkin Park
I love
DJ thing.
Ironically, I love Fever, which is the song they left off the record.
Yeah, what the fuck?
That's like an incredible song.
It's because it sounds too much like Stacy's mom, though.
Maybe, but
it does.
And some people might love Father of All, so I'm not going to say any Green Day album is not great, but that would probably be my least favorite. And,
Graffiti was all right, but it's a closer,
That's a Clash song. If you didn't know, they're just a Clash song. I forgot which one off the top of my head, but that
sounds a lot like I Fought the Law a little bit too.
It's a different one. It's almost like the same kind of idea, but
yeah, because Carpe Diem was more ripping off I Fought the Law. If you hadn't noticed,
Suffocate.
Carpe
Diem. That's what I think of when I hear that.
It mixed of the two, yeah.
Suffocate. Yeah.
You know what? That's another one people don't talk about enough. I love the B-side and cover compilation. I love Shenanigans. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was funny because for years I had to collect all those songs because they were all like on imports, as like the B-side single. So I'd have to go all over New York City to every record store, Virgin Megastore, HMV. Do you have the Hitching a Ride single that has Sick and Espionage on it? Do you have Geek Stink Breath single that has I Want to Be on TV on it? And then I collected all these things, and then one day they're just all in a compilation. I spent all those years of my life searching for all those songs in real life, but makes it more fun. That's what I always say, to find them in the wild.
Look, you got to share that here, so it wasn't for nothing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So before I ask the final question, I was thinking about throwing on that interview where you interviewed Mike Dirnt. So if you want to just wait just a minute, or I could have it with us both here.
Well, let me set this up. So Mike has another band called the Frustrators, and they put out records in I think it was 01, 03, but I was really young. I couldn't go to Berkeley to see them play back then. So all of a sudden, fast forward to 2011, and they put out Griller, a brand new EP. So because they were on a little tour and they were going to play in LA, the day before, they went to a record store called in Rancho Cucamonga, Dr. Strange Records. And so they did a meet and greet. So it was like an hour and a half from Los Angeles. So we went there, and I kind of, I've met Mike before, but he didn't know that I do interviews or anything like that. So I said, hey man, I've been doing this show for years. It's been a dream of mine to ask you some questions. I promise you, these are really detailed, obscure questions. They're not the basic thing you answer every day. So he was cool about it, man. And then after we did that interview, you're going to see he stood there with about 8 of us and just talked to us for another half hour. He was not in a rush or anything. It was really fun.
I love that. Yeah, when I saw them at the DCU Center in Worcester in 2017, when they were calling someone on stage, I think it was during Knowledge, Mike locked eyes with me. And I was like, I can play. And he's like, you can play. And I felt him stare into my soul. That guy's got he's got a cool energy. Not in a bad way. No,
but you didn't get to go up though, I'm saying.
No, yeah, I was a little kid named Grant. He had green hair.
That's another cool video. It's actually in your background there next to you. Me playing on stage the other way. That's from 2005 at the Home Depot Center in Los Angeles. So that was one of those things where I've been trying for years and I never got picked. And then he called up a child that was like 5, and when he got up there, he realized the kid was way too young to be playing. So he went right up to me and said, "All right, you finally want to do it? Come on, come bring him on stage." So
he remembered you.
I was the backup guy that night, so I didn't get to keep the guitar. He gave it to the little kid, which is fine.
Did he remember you though? Like that's what.
Oh yeah, that's why he said that. Yeah.
He finally got.
Yeah, I've been trying to get on stage to play Knowledge since the Nimrod tour when they started doing that. Nimrod tour, Warning tour. I've been to all these tours. Warped tour,
so cool,
nothing.
Man.
Pop Disaster, nothing. Finally, American Idiot tour. I got on stage.
I love it. That's great, man.
Anyway, let's play the Mike Dirnt interview and then we'll come back and wrap it up.
All right, sounds good to me. Here it goes.
I'm going to ask you. Hey, so it's Djrossstar. I'm here with Mike Dirnt. I'm going to ask you some questions that I'm pretty sure you've never been asked before. Is that okay?
Go for it.
These are real questions. Question 1. Why was 2,000 Light Years Away written by Jesse Michaels, Rippins, and Dave E.C., and not you or Billy Joe?
Actually, it was the riff was jammed by them, written by Billy Joe in a slight formulation of what could have been a band, never panned out, and we ended up rewriting it in a way that Billy liked better, and we put it out.
Wow. Now, I know Jesse, obviously, and Dave was the drummer at one point. Who is Rippins? Who was he?
Rippins is the bass player for a band called Crimshrine, and then later was the bass player for a band called Tilt. You may know Tilt from the t-shirt Trey's wearing in the Longview video.
Oh, yeah. Question 2. Do you remember what you say in the breakdown of Private Ale? Because no one could figure it out. Crystal Kraken, Leaf Lovin'? Am I close?
Leaf Lovin', Crystal Kraken... something, I don't know. All I know is we spoke about ounce of pot or something, making that record. Just do yourself a favor. Record your record sober.
God. Well, I guess the same question could be for Android. There's another weird breakdown where I think you're saying something while the toilet is flushing.
I think it's actually I think it's Billy. His voice affected. This is somebody else can do it.
I know that, but before that is some other mumbling. He's got a lot of mumbling. Reject at the end. We don't know what he says.
You know, the thing is, there are some irrevocable things that happen in the studio when you record as fast as we used to. You know, I mean, we had, I think we did, our first record was done in 3 days or something, and 39 Smooth, and then Kerplunk was recorded the better part of like 8 days. So,
wow. Now, question 4. Who's clapping at the end of On the Wagon? Is that a live song, or are you clapping in studio?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, and I think it was Captain Hay.
Captain Hay?
Captain Hay. Okay. Captain Hay is who we call in when we need claps and haze and group vocals and stuff.
All right, question 5. You're going to have to think really hard, okay? I'm a collector. I've got almost all your stuff. I want to see if I'm missing anything, okay? We got Sabrina Stewart. We got both the Screeching Weasel record and the 7-inch. We got the Squirt Gun self-titled. Obviously the Frustrators. We've got Foxborough Hot Tubs. We'll say the network just in case. We got the Jesse Malin song, Iggy Pop. Is that it? Is there anything else you're on that I don't know about?
Wow, I'm trying to think. That's pretty good. You got the Sabrina Stewart too. Yeah. I love that record. It's great. She's a great songwriter. She's doing crazy stuff now. What else was there? Yes, there is other stuff. I'm just trying to think. Some of the stuff we've done, me and Trey had a culmination of a band years ago that we did, that none of those songs will ever see the light of day because quite honestly they're not rated for human consumption. And then, oh God. That's a good one. I'm going to have to think about that for a while.
Go back in your collection, huh?
There's definitely more.
Jeez.
Well, there's the Helsinki Fingers, which nobody knows.
Ooh, what's that?
It's just we did some worldwide recording, and there's some other things that popped up within that. Yeah, and you got the Rodeo Queens, which is
yes, of course. So I might have it all, huh?
You're close.
Did you actually?
Don't have it all. There's hundreds of songs recorded you don't have for sure.
Did you actually
not
sing?
all of them have a moniker.
Did you sing for crummy musicians, or is that a rumor?
I sang for crummy musicians on a tour. My friend Dave Barley actually sang for crummy musicians, but his mother wouldn't let him go on tour. So when I was 17, Billy played guitar for Corrupted Morals, and I jumped on tour and sang for Crummy Musicians. There was 9 of us in a van, and we did I believe it was 9 shows, which is 10, all the way down to New Orleans, Mississippi, Albuquerque, Phoenix, all of that stuff. And I sang for Crummy Musicians.
Wow. No recording exists.
And much like the Frustrators, I wore a cowboy hat all the time.
But there's no recording, huh? There's no documentation unless you have your own video.
No, but I can tell you one thing. The lyrics were very truthful. Skate for fun.
I'll give you one more and then I'll let you go.
We used to be best friends.
Anyway, last question. At Storytellers, years ago, you told me, I asked you about Cigarettes and Valentines at the time, and you mentioned 3 songs. That one, I think it was Walk Away and Dropout? Listen to?
Dropout, Sleepyhead, yeah.
Yeah. What else is on that record? Is there any other titles that come to mind that maybe you reuse in music for future songs?
You know what? We have a ton of music that, quite honestly, you may never hear it. You may hear tons of it. There's just a shit ton of Green Day music that we need to make albums. So we wait and we still don't know why until it's time. But I think it's someday, we're gonna have to clean out the attic, and people are gonna be stoked. So,
thank you so much.
You got it.
Nice.
That's an interview I've totally seen. I saw it when it came out. And,
I still think that's the best Green Day interview I've ever seen. If you're into weird, obscure questions.
Really. Not only is that like really, really referential in the newest album on Look Ma No Brains that drop out. I'm a knucklehead instead of sleepyhead, right? Mike's got to live up to that. They got to live up to that. We need to hear Cigarettes and Valentines. I've been waiting all this time. You've been waiting all this time. Everybody has been waiting all this time. We the jig's up. We need to hear it. All right? That's it. That's all I'm saying on that.
What you got for me now? Is that it? Are we
my final question for you is: do you have any plugs, shout outs, and etc.?
Yeah. So here's the deal. Unfortunately, I used to do my live show on a website called stickam.com. It was a very big site back in the day for like scene people. They used to feature me on the homepage. That's how I got like 60, 80,000 viewers. But they shut down overnight. They gave me about a 12-hour warning to save all my videos. So out of thousands of interviews, I probably have 5% of them. But they're on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube, look up Djrossstar with 3 S's. I've got interviews on there with Katy Perry. Skrillex is on there from first to last.
Yes, Sonny.
Boys Like Girls. The Julia Lewis ones are on there. There's a lot of good content that I still have on YouTube. Also, like I said, if you go to my Instagram, Djrossstar, you can see some of my Instagram lives that I did over in my Reels section from a few years ago. I also have content on YouTube, Bionic Buzz. Basically, if you go to YouTube and search Djrossstar, you'll find content from all the different outlets that I've worked with over the years. And I still do, interviews every now and then when I'm given a cool opportunity. I also do a thing now called Get Lost with Ross that I'm excited about. I go around the Nashville area within a 3-hour radius. Could be Illinois, Indiana, could be Alabama, Kentucky. And I just try to find weird things that you're not going to hear about in a travel guide, whether that's like a cave where you can get a tour, or like a weird castle in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, or some oddity store. I just love doing unique and interesting things on my weekends, not just going to Broadway here to watch music, which is a very easy answer for Nashville, but I like trying to mix it up on my weekends. So that's what I'm working on now the most, Get Lost with Ross. And that's also on my Instagram, TikTok, everywhere that YouTube, anywhere that I'm on, and just Get Lost with Ross. I have about 30 episodes. It's really cold out here now, so I'm probably going to take a break for a second because it's like hard to go film outside when it's 20 degrees. But and then I'm doing the Green Day podcast circuit apparently. So I appreciate you having me on. I've done four. I've done 4, I think, 2 about American Idiot, 1 about Nimrod, and now this one just talking about my story. So who knew that being a fan for 31 years would have like a thing to it, like people would want to know about. It's kind of funny.
Well, it's funny. I started this just to interview people in the arts because of Jamie Kennedy, from Scream. and he's gonna come on at some point, but he's so fucking busy. I just started interviewing everybody, and then like fortunately in the past year I've just had a bunch of people that have like met and hung out with Green Day on, and I've been buddies with Chris Dugan for about 5-6 years. So I mean it's cool, man. I'm fortunate. I'm very grateful to have you on. Thank you for coming on.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, no worries. If you just want to stick with me for a second, I'll close the podcast out.
Oh yeah,
everyone watching.
You guys for watching. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to and watching the Dreaming Insomniacs, the podcast with DJ Rossstar. Have a great rest of your night. Bye, everyone.